So first this let's discuss the civil procedure. So uh we're done with the general principles, general provisions in civil procedure. So we'll dive into civil procedure rule 1 up to 22. Okay. For this subject. So this reviewer is was based on some of the reviewers coming from Attorney Anselmo Rodiel, Attorney Red Agbayani, as we have seen on the jail provisions. The cases are with Judge Yanni Sudarbe, and some concepts also from our favorite judge, Judge Henel Quito. Okay, uh, I'll not discuss the introduction anymore, since we've discussed this on the general provisions. We'll go directly to uh, Rule 1. Okay. So how is this reviewer done? So we're doing the codal provisions first and then uh, explaining it one by one with regards to the rules with regards to, for example, rule 1, 2, and then there's an explanation. After that, there would be some illustration and question and answer. But we have not done any uh, bar Q&A on this reviewer, unlike what we have done in Opticon. So let's first do rule 1 in terms of the 2019 civil procedure. So section 1, in terms of section 1, this is the title of the rule. Uh, we'll go straight to section 2. In what courts is it applicable? This rule shall apply in all courts. Remember, all courts except otherwise provided by the Supreme Court. So it's a general rule. Okay. Section 3, cases governed. This rule shall govern the procedure to be observed in actions, civil, criminal, and special proceedings. Uh, Number 1, civil action is one of which a party sues another for the enforcement or protection of a right or the prevention or redress of a wrong. A civil action may either be ordinary or special. Both are governed by the rules of ordinary civil actions, subject to the specific rules prescribed for a special civil action. 2, criminal action. So criminal action, these are the things that we have done. We've uh, gone through in criminal 1 and 2. So a criminal action is one by which the state prosecutes a person for an act or omission punishable by law. Why is it here also in civil procedure? Because in every felony, there is a civil liability. Number 3, it special proceeding is defined. So a special proceeding is a remedy by which a party seeks to establish a status, a right, or a particular fact. And the last section, section 4, in what cases not is this not applicable? These rules shall not apply to election cases, registration, cadastral, naturalization, insolvency proceedings, and other cases not herein provided for, except by analogy or suppletory character whenever practicable and convenient. So, notes for Rule 1. Let's make it this bigger. Our notes for Rule 1 so that we can understand it clearly. We uh we did a flowchart for this. So this flowchart is a combination. This is simplified flowchart. This is combination coming from Judge Nelgito and Attorney Chato Olivas. Okay. So first, of course, on Rule 2, we will understand what is a cause of action. but the cause of action is the start. Uh, is the start of everything in terms of civil procedure. Okay, or okay. So that's the start. There should be a cause of action, and then a complaint will be filed. When a complaint is filed in court, uh, the court will now do a summon. So calling all parties, and then uh, of course, when we look at the complaint is done by the plaintiff. When we say plaintiff, the plaintiff is what? The plaintiff is the one complaining. Okay, the one complaining, the one who has interest for the benefit thereof. Okay, and then the one who will answer here, the one who will answer is actually the defendant. Okay. So I think that is self-explanatory. The one defending his position and the one who is complaining. Okay. That's why there's a complainant. The complainant is otherwise called in civil cases as plaintiff, not respondents. So, okay. So once there is an answer, there would be a plea trial. So as much we'll discuss the different answers, reply, etc. later. This madadaanan naman natin yan lahat doon sa rules ng rules of procedure on the rules of court. Okay. So after that, there will be a pre-trial before a trial. So the pre-trial is wherein you would, if ever there would be an amicable settlement, there and all of the uh initiatory pleadings will be answered. Okay. So actually, the initiatory pleading is what we call the first initiatory is the complaint, of course, di ba? So when that is being filed in court, that's the initial part of it. So okay. So after the pre-trial, there would be a trial, and then there would be a judgment. After the judgment, we can either do a motion for consideration for a new trial or to do an appeal. Uh, there is a time limit there, which is 15 days. 15 days for us to do. And then there would be a finality and execution. In terms of the judgment, if nothing has been done with regards to the MR or to an appeal, and then there would the lawyers can either do a petition for relief, so action to annul the judgment also. So that's the flow chart. That's the flow chart with regards to civil procedure. Let's go to a flow chart, another chart again, uh, which is uh, which is Judge Henelgito said that this is a procedural incident in every stage. So we've discussed a complaint. The cause of action is the start coming from the plaintiff. The actual action is now with regards to the court is a complaint. Okay. And then of course we will talk about the jurisdiction, the venue, plus also the parties involved, the prescription or conditions of precedent, preparation of the complaint, and then the provisional remedies also. So when we look at the flow, there is a complaint and then there will be a summon coming from the court. So the summon, it's either a motion for bill of particulars. The bill of particulars is actually asking the court if there are any uh, uh, vague thing in terms of the pleading. And of course, the lawyers can also do a motion to dismiss in this stage. The answer coming from the defendant, it's either a default answer, a reply, a counterclaim. A, uh, a counterclaim is after the reply. It's actually an answer coming from the reply. And then a cross claim is coming from a third party, a co-defendant. I mean, there's also maybe a third party, and then there would be intervention. Intervention, I think, is Rule 19. And then after that, there would be a pretrial. effects of non-appearance, and effects of filing of pre-trial brief. On the trial, there would be a demur of evidence. We can also do that, and then there would be judgment, post-judgment remedies, before finality, after finality, and then there would be execution. So let's go to the actual uh, rules of in terms of the section in Rule 1. So important things that we need to remember. The important principles here is that the rules of court shall apply in all the courts except otherwise provided by the Supreme Court. That is in Section 2, Rule 1. And then also in Rule 1, um, our memory aid here would be Nicole. The actions or proceedings not governed by the rules of court. So these are the exceptions. So naturalization case, insolvency proceedings, cadastral cases, other cases not herein provided for, registration cases, and election cases. So Nicole. Okay. So lastly, with regards to Rule 1, we need to distinguish civil action and special proceedings. Okay. In ordinary action, which is our civil procedure 1, uh, generally adversarial in nature, it seeks to enforce or protect a right or to prevent and redress a wrong. It can be in personam. When we say in personam, that is the subject matter, which is the person. Rem and quasi and rem is about the thing or the property. So in ordinary action, it is also governed by the rules of for ordinary civil action. So rules of court. It is heard by courts of general jurisdiction. We've discussed also on the slides of attorney read the Jello, attorney Jello, with regards to the general jurisdiction, right? So it's that would be either RTC and others also. In ordinary action also, it is initiated by pleading, responded by an answer. So pwedeng magkaroon ng multiple na answers and reply. Okay. So parties are generally allowed to file answer, counterclaim, cross-claim, and third-party complaints. Okay. And it is based on the cause of action. So remember, it's always a cause of action in civil cases. There's a cause of action. Say, so in criminal cases, it's either that's your dolo or culpa, right? Uh, but we will not discuss that in this topic. So in special proceedings, uh, let's just go through here. No? Pero the important thing is we will discuss mostly ordinary actions, but we need to differentiate. So in special proceedings, generally there is no definite adverse party. It is merely established as a status, right, or a particular fact. Okay. It can be in them or quasi in them only. So if you look at ordinary actions, it is all in personam, in them, or in quasi in them. In special proceedings, it is just with regards to the property. Okay. And sometimes it's basically a status or establishing the status of the property. In special proceedings also, it is governed by special rules supplemented by rules of the ordinary civil action. It is heard by courts of limited jurisdiction. So what's limited jurisdiction? Limited jurisdiction is typically it's either a quasi-judicial entity or maybe a special entity with regards to the courts. That could be either a CTA or a family court. Okay. But the family court normally goes to the uh, within the jurisdiction of RTC also. So it is initiated by a petition and responded by an opposition. Rules on pleadings are generally not applicable. The PSU to appeal is 30 days aside from the notice of appeal. A record on appeal is required. It is based on the cause of action except on habeas corpus. Okay? Next. Next rule. Ah, let's finish this first. So, hindi masyadong mahaba ang video natin. Uh, then we'll go to rule 2.